Welcome to the My Creative Days podcast, where we will talk about all things DIY, home decor, decorating tips, and creating a beautiful home on a budget. I am hoping our time together will spark a creative idea, help you plan your next DIY, or inspire you to finally tackle that project you keep putting off. Grab your favorite cup of motivation and let's chat. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. Today I'm going to talk about something that I recently got in one of my messages on Instagram, and somebody that has followed my furniture flipping content for a long time, and they actually want to flip furniture, or they already have some pieces just like waiting to be painted or made over or whatever it is that they're wanting to do with it, but they're so scared to start. So I just wanted to kind of talk to any of you that are going through that as well. If you've seen any of my content, if you've heard about my Furniture Flipping Academy, you know that I'm passionate about this topic, and it is something that anybody can do. You don't need years of experience. I help coach people in all seasons of life, from high school students to retired people. So it's just one of those kind of things that a lot of people can do, but I know it can be a little bit overwhelming. Especially now, I try to, I know that I've said this before, but I know that I've gone through my journey the way I've gone through my journey. So now that I can help even more people, but I can't imagine starting this back when I started it. Social media wasn't what it was today at all. Like back when I started flipping furniture, Pinterest, I don't even think Pinterest was around, because I started flipping furniture in our first home, and I didn't, I wasn't like on a computer in that home. I'm just trying to think. What I did back in those days was I would, look through magazines and things. And if I found something I liked, you guys, I had binders that were labeled, binders and binders full of inspiration that I had found. And so that's how I found inspiration. I would have like a living room binder and a recipe binder and like a party binder for like entertaining, and like a Halloween binder. And yes, I was that person. So back in the day when I started, there was no such thing as social media and, Pinterest, and, we are just inundated with information. And so I know it's just so different now from when I started, and you see so much information and so many, like ideas and, all of that it can be overwhelming, but I don't want you to be scared. And so I was talking to this person and I'm trying to encourage them. And I thought maybe this could be helpful for some of you. So I thought I'd record a podcast about it. But, this is a side note, like this is off of my notes, but, turn off the noise. Anything you want to start, if it's furniture flipping, if it's anything you want to start, turn off the noise. And by that, I mean, stop picking up your phone. Stop consuming that information and that content that, I sometimes feel like we get in like this consumption, like that's all we do is we consume, and we never do, right? So if we can just turn off that noise and turn off the consuming, it's going to free up, number one, time. Everybody says, I just don't have time. Well, let's turn off your phone. The 3 hours you're spending scrolling your phone, there's 3 hours you could be doing something you really want to do, or a goal start working towards a goal you really want. Like turn off your phone. And so just turn off the noise and stop consuming. Maybe you have a few people that you love. Since this was about furniture flipping, that's kind of what I'm going to talk about today, but this can be no matter what it is. These things can kind of help, across the board. But so you have your favorite, people that you're watching or consuming on social media. That's great. You already have enough information to start. You don't need to consume okay, and another week I'm going to watch their stuff again and again, or the new stuff they're putting out. Nope, you already have enough information. You've been watching their stuff and consuming their stuff for long enough that you basically get the gist of whatever it is, right? So turn it off. Set your phone down and make it a goal to start taking steps forward, right? Like just baby steps, whatever it is, just start taking some steps forward instead of just consuming more content. Because I think this is totally off my notes. I'm just going with this. It's here in my head. I think we get so, what do I want to say? With so much information coming in all the time. I mean, I even do it too with like recipes and things. And it's like, okay, I just want to, sometimes I get in these cooking slumps where it's like, I just do not want to make another meal for another human being. Can we just do cheese and crackers for like the next week and just everybody be okay, right? So, but then I'm like, okay, I'm going to find all these, if I'm on TikTok or Instagram, all these recipes, right? And then you're screenshotting them, you're emailing yourself the link, which is what I do, and then you have all these things for the next day you're at your computer, or the next day you're going through your phone or your screenshots or whatever. And mind you, I have 25,000 cookbooks sitting in my kitchen. Like we just need to stop consuming and looking for the next best thing or the next best idea or and just start doing, right? So like I said, this can kind of go across the board with all kinds of things you're struggling with, but furniture flipping was the thing that they were talking about, and it's something that I'm passionate about, and it's something that it shouldn't be stressful. So I am going to kind of just go through some tips here and some things that will help you, and things that like me doing this as number one, out of necessity. Then number two, I started selling pieces. And then that started snowballing. Then I turned it into that, along with my other DIY projects and other things we were doing, into My Creative Days and what it is now. And now I'm coaching people. Like throughout the years, I've been doing this for more than 20 years. Like there's things that really, I want you to think about when you keep saying, I'm scared to do it. I'm too nervous to try. That's a second thing, not on my notes. Let's stop those words and those constant, that thought process. Let's get that out of our head, because that's not helping the situation at all either, right? So number one, take a minute, just take a minute and reflect on what sparked your interest in furniture flipping. Like, was it something you saw? Was it something you, like an idea you had? Were you inspired by a piece you saw like in a high-end store and you're like, I could literally, do that for a lot less, which is totally that's my game. Every time I'm in a store or I see something, it's like, wait a minute, I can DIY that. I can flip this or that to look like this and save a ton of money. And I know I can do the work. It's not out of necessity now. I can do the work. So why wouldn't I just do the work, right? And it's also a creative outlet, which is something I have to have in my life at all times. If I'm not being creative, I'm bored. I'm just not a happy person. So is it maybe it's something that you're thinking like you've got this hobby. Maybe you've started a few pieces and you think maybe you could turn it into a business. Like what was the initial thing that was like, oh my gosh, I want to try furniture flipping, or I think I would really like that, or what is it about it that that was your, like, that sparked that interest? That's what you need to hang on to. And that's what you need to keep coming back to, because that's what's going to motivate you. Now, you've got that one thing, but then you keep consuming all this stuff, right? And so that's all noise. When you can sit down, reflect on what started your interest in it, that's going to motivate you to take those steps forward that I talked about earlier. So turn off the noise, figure out what sparked that interest, and that's what we're going to hang on to, and that's what's going to get us moving in the forward motion. If you remember too, that anybody starts something with a passion or a dream, or it's something like you started and you like really find out you really like it, right? It's all got to start somewhere. And so keep that in mind. Like that's your foundation, right? That's your foundation and what you're going to build on. is going to keep you going. So we've got to remember that. Number 2, you recognize fear as a catalyst for growth. So, I think I've done many podcasts about fear, and it's just something that, again, we all deal with it, right? Like it's a natural feeling, it's a natural thing, but it's also something when you realize that those feelings or whatever, I always say like I still like in my business or new things that happen, I get that like, it's like that pit in my stomach. And it's like, now I try to train myself to say like, that means I'm embarking on something new. That means that I'm embarking on something that's going to change me on the other side. Even if I fail at this, I'm going to learn so much. It still every day happens in my business, happens in like my personal life with personal goals and things that I want to do. Fear is there, right? It's there to protect you, quote unquote, but we can't let it stop us, right? So recognize it, that's fine, but you're just going to grow so much, right? So you being scared to start, totally natural. It's a new thing. You've never done it before. Like you do know what the process looks like. Like you do know what, whatever products and supplies you need. You do know that you've got kind of an eye for this kind of makeover process. So you do know all of that, but you actually haven't gone through the motion. So you're scared, right? It's something new, but you're never going to know until you get on the other side, right? So we can't let that fear or I'm just so scared to stop us in our tracks, right? If it's doing that, then that means it controls us, right? And we don't want to give that control, right? Because there's so much, the grass is greener on the other side of fear. And it could just be, even if it goes terribly wrong, whatever it is, you come out on the other side with so much more knowledge than you started with, right? And so, like I said, even in my business now, I do scary things all the time. Or I feel, like I'm putting myself out there. And then if something was it like, I can't remember if it was this weekend or if it was last week, I was messaging my team and there was a blip in one of the systems we used. And so it's something that we didn't know that was how it was going to go, if that makes sense. But it was like, okay, that's totally fine. We'll get over this, but now we know. And that's what I texted her. I messaged her and I said, it's not a failure. We totally learned that. Like going forward now, when that happens, we're going to know that we have to do, A, B, C, and D. So if you can train yourself to think that way, trust me, it helps you. It helps you. It helps you. So, and you got to get out of your comfort zone. That's another thing that, believe me, I'm the one that, depending on what it is, but I like to be in my comfort zone. I like change in certain areas of my life, but I also like a lot of control. So I am dealing with that all the time. So getting out of my comfort zone with certain things, then I start getting that anxiety, that pit in my stomach. And that's when I have to do that whole talk like, okay, this is here. It's trying to protect you, but it's not going to stop me. On the other side, the grass is going to be greener no matter if it worked or didn't. So it's just kind of, and believe me, this is years and years, and it's still not easy. It is still not easy. But if you can kind of retrain your thinking and retrain what you're saying to yourself, these goals and these things you want to do aren't going to be, you're actually going to, move forward with them. You're not just going to stay in one spot. Okay, let me just make sure I'm getting through my notes here. So the next thing that I would tell you to do, and this is kind of, so you want to educate yourself, right? And so as you educate yourself, you're going to gain confidence. So like, let's just say like Matt and I, this past weekend, we were trying to use a new tool, a new to us tool that we had never used before. We got it out of the box and it just was not working right. So the first thing we do is we go to YouTube and we try to see how like if somebody had some troubleshooting, like video, or, hey, if this didn't work, try this. Or when I was using it, I tried that, right? Like that's gaining, like you're educating yourself. You're kind of getting information on how to do it. You're going to gain some more confidence on, okay, that's how the tool works. Like I was totally holding it wrong, or I was totally whatever it is. But you've got to stop there. So when I said earlier, turn the noise off, right? Instead of just scrolling and consuming, you actually consume with a purpose, right? So you want to gain, confidence by educating yourself about that thing, right? So let's just say it's in furniture flipping and you're like, okay, I have this table. It's been sitting out in my garage for a full year because I've been scared to start, but I'm not scared anymore. I'm just going to start, right? And so now you're like, okay, I've got to clean the piece. I know that I've heard that over and over again because all I do is consume the information, but now I know I need to clean the piece first. So how do I do that? So that's when you go and you educate yourself on that one part of it, right? Don't sit and just endlessly scroll or endlessly just watch videos. You go to your favorite creators or people that you're watching or learning from, and then you get that information, but then you go and do it, right? Knowledge is power. But we live in a world where there's so much to consume, right? And it's fun and it's entertaining most of the time. If it's not, then you need to unfollow and block people. But there's so much information out there and there's so much content out there and it's just readily available. So we find ourselves aimlessly just scrolling and losing a half an hour, 2 hours a day, whatever it is. So educate yourself to gain that confidence to do something, to start something, right? You want to arm yourself with the information about the techniques, the trends, whatever it is that you're looking to do with your piece, but then actually do the thing, right? So turn off the noise, but yet you do want to educate yourself and get that information you need that's going to put one foot in front of the other. Always start with small projects. I've said that before. Listen, when in furniture flipping, you don't have to do all of the hand painting and the mixing and blending of colors when you're starting out. Find a table with straight edges, a small end table, not a lot of curves, not a lot of detail, and get yourself some paint and just start there. Like don't try to start and be all fancy and the fancy things that you're seeing. Somebody that's been flipping for, over 20 years or 10 years or even 3 years. And you're trying to start off with first project with what they're doing at 3 years. It's not going to work that way, right? So definitely start off small and start out simple. And then another thing you should do is surround yourself with supportive people. So that's why I started the Furniture Flipping Academy, is for this reason. So, again, if you're trying to grow a business, which has been my thing for the past many years. So I have joined groups, I've joined masterminds, I've hired coaches, like I've done all of that, because I need to be around people that can lead me or support me with what I'm doing, who get it, mine has been business. So sometimes when I go and talk to Matt, who has no social media, right? He's not trying to grow a business. He doesn't even know what I'm talking about. And so for the first few years, I didn't know the importance of surrounding myself with these kinds of people, but I've gotten into groups and it's a game changer. So again, if you're trying to grow a business or you're just trying to do something for yourself, like just personally, surround yourself with people who get it, who are going to support you, who are going to cheer you on. If it's friends and family, that's great. But even go beyond that. I just push yourself a little bit. Find a Facebook group. Find some people on Instagram that you can kind of just surround yourself with and reach out to when you need them. So people that can understand, like I said, what you're going through and relate to your dreams. Share your fears with them. That was one of my best, like when I started getting into the groups and the masterminds and the, like when I was taking courses and things, I could say to people, okay, like we're supposed to be doing this week, whatever it was. I'm freaking out. Like, what do I even do? And for, people to like talk you off the ledge and be like, oh no, it's totally fine. Like, this is what you do. And I couldn't do that with Matt. I couldn't talk with Matt about that, or, family members, or, you know what I mean? Like, they would have been like, what are you even talking about? But just to have those people that get it, and that you can just, type in, whatever inside the group and say, I'm freaking out. And then everybody, the people inside to be like, oh yeah, I've been there. This is what you do. That right there has been worth the money every time. Because I can, especially with like technology and things, I can freak out really fast and like take it, to level 100 when somebody's like, no, you just click here. And it's, but that's just me. So, another thing too, this is kind of a side note, but when you connect with like-minded individuals, you can also open up opportunities and things that you weren't even thinking about on this little furniture flipping journey that you want to start, right? And that, I'm not going to get into all of that because that's like into like the business side and like just like, ways that you can get free paint and you can get paid to, do makeovers and all those kinds of things. But it leads to so much more than just being able to say, I'm freaking out. What do I need to do? So definitely surrounding yourself with supportive people and people that get it is so, so, so helpful. Start small, like I said, and take baby steps. So, don't feel overwhelmed by the magnitude of just starting furniture flipping, right? You have one table that you want to make over and paint red, I don't know, whatever, to go in next to your sofa in the living room. That's where you need to keep it, right? Like, we're just going to keep it in that box. I have a small end table that I want to paint red to put next to my sofa in my living room. That's it. Don't think furniture flipping, I want to start a business, I want to start flipping for my friends and family, I need to learn how to, stain, wax, hand paint, I need to learn how to spray, I need to buy thousands of dollars worth of tools. No, you're just starting, right? With that one table in your garage that you need to clean, paint, and put next to your sofa in your living room. That's it. And that, you can cut it up into manageable steps, right? And that's all you need to worry about, right? I think that we always get, depending on lots of things, it's not just this, but like we get 17 steps ahead. And it's like, no, wait a minute. I just have this little table. Like, can we just start here? Can we just stay here? Stay here. Don't get overwhelmed. And then you'll see the process. You'll kind of see how things work. And, you won't get overwhelmed and you will love the process a lot more. Does that make sense? So like, it's not like you're going to quit before you even start. If you're on step 17, you may quit before you even start, and celebrate each little achievement, right? So it's like, let's just say for that table, you cleaned it. You found a way to clean it, and like, celebrate that step. You did it, right? It wasn't that bad. Everybody survived. The table's still standing. Celebrate that. When you scuff sand it, right? You learned now how to turn the sander on, how to put sandpaper on it, how to scuff sand, the difference between, sanding grits, whatever it is. Celebrate that right there. I always say, if I can learn one new thing every day, and for me, that's usually like a technical thing that will make my life and my job easier. So if I can learn how to, whatever it is, on the computer or on my phone, and be like, oh my gosh, I've been doing it the hard way every day or forever, and this is all I had to do. Like, I celebrate those. Like, I get excited about those. Like, that makes me happy. Like, I feel like my whole day is done and like has been like a success. If I can just learn a new trick or just like a new way to do something, or, like, I get excited about that. Same thing with furniture flipping. At each step of the process, celebrate it. Get excited about it. You're one step closer to doing more projects or to getting to that goal that you want to do. I kind of touched on this next one. Embrace failures as learning opportunities. Like, that's everywhere in life. And believe me, I have not only in, like my furniture flipping like projects, and that's how I've learned, and Matt and I have learned so much over the years, is because we've failed over and over again. So and they're not failures if you're learning something from them. So the reason you failed, just always think there's a reason for this. There's always a reason for something, is because you needed to learn something. You needed to do something in a different way. So failure or mistakes or not working out the way you thought it would, it brings insights that can help you refine the next time, or refine, the technique next time, or whatever it is. So don't look at them as failures. You're learning. And when I say in furniture flipping, especially if you're painting a piece of furniture, it is paint. It is my favorite DIY tool because you can change it. You can sand it back down. You can paint it a different color. You can get rid of some, if you have brush strokes, there's ways to get rid of that. So you can definitely, it's just paint. So don't worry about it. Set realistic goals. That's another thing. Like, don't say, I want to start flipping furniture, and then you're going in to do a whole bedroom set and your dining room table and chairs. I'm going to tell you this right now. Chairs are a beast. They are a beast. It's one of the pieces of furniture that anybody I'm coaching, and they'll get like their first custom order come in, and why is it always tables and chairs? Because you need to be charging a good price for those, because they are a beast, right? All the little spindles and things, but do not start out that way. You want to set realistic goals, start out small, start out just for yourself, like just do a couple pieces for yourself, or even just go to the thrift store and try and find small pieces, even if it's just like a wood box or something. Bring that home so you can just, start applying paint on it and sanding it and just kind of see how those tools and things work. But you want to make sure that you're setting realistic goals, and just stay simple. Just stay simple. So I hope this is helpful. I know a lot of people, they see it being done, but then they're so scared to start it. And it's the one thing where I'm like, you can do this. I'm not kidding. Like, you really can do this. Just if you, some of these tips are super helpful. If you just think about things in a different way, we stop consuming and we start doing. I think that's one of the biggest ones that keeps people from starting it at all. But yeah, so let me know if you are somebody that struggles with this. Let me know if this podcast was helpful. If it was helpful, somebody that could use the information, please share it. I always appreciate when you share it. And if you have any other questions, reach out to me. You can email me, Lindsay@mycreativedays.com. You can reach out to me on Instagram @mycreativedays. If there's something else you're struggling with, I would love to chit chat with you and help you as well. So definitely reach out to me. But until next time, start doing, stop consuming, and start your first project. Hello, friends. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I'm grateful that you tune in every week and that you share the show with your family and friends. I love having creative chit chats with you, and my hope is that this podcast will inspire you to try a new project, start a DIY that you've been putting off, and decorate your home exactly how you want it. There are a few ways you can help us with the podcast. Follow the podcast so you don't miss an episode. And if you could take a few minutes to leave the podcast a review, that would help us so much. Again, thank you for being here, and I look forward to our chat next week. Bye-bye.